Good morning, West Rocks. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday. Maybe you even remember to wear your blue today, as today is part of our Wednesday Blues campaign in April to raise awareness for autism. If you were able to purchase the West Rocks blue shirt, the proceeds go to West Rocks, autism research. So if you are able to do that at some point, we got a couple Wednesdays left. And be able to do that throughout this month. So today's virtual expectations assembly is really, and this is just for our sixth graders. I know this last year has been a really unique one. You guys left fifth grade really in March, a little over a year ago, in buildings in schools all over the district and in other districts too. Right in March, we left. You left elementary school, and it was a very difficult way to finish your elementary school experience. And some of you guys have been in that school from kindergarten all the way through fifth grade. And here you go. And there you go, finishing however you finished in fifth grade, and then starting the year in a different way in middle school as you were transitioning in. It's different from what we were ever experienced as incoming sixth graders, and it was different for you because you had one in a middle school experience in mind, and this has been probably very different, whether it be from masks, social distancing, lockers, Google Classroom, and having Google Drive and a lot more technology maybe than used to, navigating the building or not. In the beginning of the year, we stayed in the classrooms, and now we're transitioning, which may have been different for you. So all of us are learning every day, and things are changing every day due to the situation around us. And you as sixth graders are right in it with us, especially in your first year of middle school. And I have to say that you guys are doing a really good job, and you got to keep it up. And we are about 3/4 of the way through this school year. We have 1 quarter left. The quarter ends right now today, and we have 1 quarter left of the school year. And you guys got to do your best and finish out the year strong. We have some really good events planned. But today I'm going to go through some expectations: behavioral, academic, like in school, work, and social. And some things to look forward to, and make sure we're all clear as we finish out the year, and we have more students re-entering than we ever had before. We have 450 kids last couple days out of our 750, which is higher than we've had in the past. So Christina is helping us out in the back. So if she could share our presentation, and we'll go through some slides and talk. If you have any questions, your teachers can put those questions in the chat, and Miss Amaral is actually monitoring that, and she can drop it into me, and I can either answer the question live or in the moment if we aren't going to kind of cover that later on before we wrap up today. So if you want to do that, and anybody at remote, if you're remote only and you're able to watch that and you're watching now live, you can drop any questions that you have in the chat too, and we'll be able to address them. So you guys are grade 6, and you are considered the class of 2027. Like, what? 2027? That's crazy. It is right now. It's 2021, so that would be 6 years from now, right? 27 minus 21. So that would be your 7th grade year. You're almost done with your 6th. So 7th grade year, 8th grade year. So really, you have 2 more years in middle school, and then you have 4 years of high school. So you guys are actually considered the class of 2027 because that's really when you're going to finish your high school experience, and that's a ways from now. So you have 3 years in middle school, 4 years in high school, and we want to make the most of our years at West Rocks. All right, thank you, Christina. You want to move to the next one? All right, so first and foremost, now that we're here and we're over halfway through, or 3/4 of the way through our 6th grade year, you've probably recognized, and some of you have been recognized for exemplifying or demonstrating what we think is important in order to be a citizen of West Rocks. We have citizens of West Rocks. There's Norwalk. There's other cities and towns in Connecticut. There's the citizen of the state of Connecticut, of United States of America, of other countries, citizens, right? Contributing to the world around you. What do you demonstrate? So are you doing your part? So here at West Rocks, we expect you to demonstrate good character. What kind of decisions do you make when things really matter? Do you do the right thing or do the easy thing? So do you stand up for your peers? Do you take responsibility for your actions? Do you make a good choice by going to an adult? Those are things that demonstrate good character. Not lie, tell the truth. Service. How do you help or contribute to the community and world around you? I'll give you an example. One way to contribute is this Saturday. We have our cleanup and planting from 9 to 12, right? You come down, there's 3 hours where you would help make our campus look nicer. We are going to pull weeds, pick up some garbage and clean up the grounds. We're going to plant trees and bushes, make it look really nice because we're proud of where we go to school on the campus of West Rocks. Another way to do service is really help, whether it's this school, help your teachers out, or maybe you help your church, or you help your community where you live in. You rake some leaves, or help a neighbor, and not necessarily for money. It's more about just helping others and other people around you within your community. Leadership. Are you a leader? You can lead by example. And some of you, some of you guys aren't necessarily vocal leaders and don't want to, tell everybody what to do, and that's okay. That's fine. It's really, are you making the right choice? Are you modeling good behavior? Are you, and for others, so when they look at you, they want to emulate and you lead by example. That's one way to be a leader. And scholarship. We're here to learn. How are your grades? Are you doing your homework? Are you doing your best on performance tasks or tests? Are you doing your reading every night? Are you doing your IXL? When Ms. Zeep asks you to come for math, or Mr. Miller asks you to come for reading, are you reporting on time? Are you doing your reading at home? All of those things. That's really why we're here, right? To learn and grow academically as well. And are you doing those things? Are you focusing? So those areas we expect you to do a really good job on and focus in your 3 years at West Rocks. And some of you have already gotten house awards, and that's why our house awards recognize those students who exemplify, who demonstrate that, and that's why your teachers really are looking for that, so they can reward you and say, look, you've done a really good job with character so far because you did A, B, C, and D. I want to give you a house award. And so we have house awards each quarter throughout the year. And if you haven't gotten one yet, make sure you're working hard in those areas. So maybe you get one this quarter, or for fourth quarter, or the next 2 years, because we have these each quarter of every year. So we really want to help others. You want to be prepared for class every day. And that's part of being a good student here at West Rocks. That means our Chromebook is charged. We have our homework done. We're here on time, and we're ready to learn. As far as phones, that's also part of your responsibility as a student. Over the last, I'd say, month or two, we've seen more phones out and students really not making great decisions versus earlier in the year. The expectation and the rule is that there are no cell phones out in school. When you come, if you have a cell phone, it's either off or on silent, and it's in your backpack throughout the day. It's not coming out of recess. It's not coming out in the hallways. It's not coming out in the classroom. It's off or silent in your bag till dismissal time. Unfortunately, students have been making some poor choices, whether it be trying to sneak it out in their back pocket at recess, trying to pulling it out in the hallway. How I know that is they've come to the office. So usually the first time either a teacher takes it away, they maybe give you a verbal warning, maybe even Mr. Jackson or one of the security guards at recess takes it, and then you get it back at the end of the day, right? Or maybe it comes to the main office and you get it back at the end of the day for the first or second time. What happens after that, though, is your parent or guardian has to come and get it. And I think we have about 5 or 6 phones right now locked up in the vault because those students haven't made good choices. And unfortunately, I have to keep them locked up safe until a parent or guardian or adult comes and gets it. And sometimes it lasts over the weekend. Sometimes it's been a week, and we've had one, I think, over 2 weeks now. But a parent or guardian says, well, I can't get there. And I said, oh, don't worry. It's okay. It's safe. It's all locked up until you're ready to go. Until you're ready to come and get it. So understand that is the expectation, and we're going to hold you to it. You have all the technology you need with your Chromebook and your computer. We have loaners, and we have phones. Come to the office, and you can use your phone and contact your parent anytime you need to. And so with that in mind, the other couple of the things that we want to make sure that, being here and going throughout your day, if you have any concerns, make sure you see an adult. That's also being part of a responsible student. If there's an issue with you and a peer, or you are aware of something that's going on with a friend or somebody else in your class, make sure that you talk to an adult. It could be a teacher that you have a relationship with, that you have a rapport, or friend you get along with. It could be an administrator, me, Miss Amaral, Mr. Jackson. It could be your counselor. It could be Miss Ball, Mr. DeRosa. It could be any adult. If you have any concerns, make sure you share them so we can help you. We want to respect school and others' property. One example of school property would be graffiti, right? Haven't seen a whole lot this year, but sometimes it happens. We clean it immediately and we try to hold kids accountable for it. It's our school. We care about it. We want to take care of it. We beautify it over the weekend where we pick up all this stuff, and we don't want people destroying it either. That means breaking things that aren't yours as part of the school's property or other people's. That goes even outside our recess equipment. How are we taking care of it? It's whether it's schoolwork, whether it's your Chromebook, whether it's something a resource that your teacher lets you use. How are we taking care of our school property? Make sure we're doing a good job with that. And finally, digital citizenship. What that means is, how are you using the internet? And what sites are you going on? And how are you communicating with your friends? Are you doing a good job? Are you making good choices? Some of us are. Some of us are using YouTube, though. You're creating websites. Some of you are interacting and communicating with your friends, even via your school email, a Google Doc in an appropriate way to brainstorm. Fantastic. Some people don't necessarily make those good choices. They're going to inappropriate sites, whether it's during school hours or not. They're using a Google Doc inappropriately to talk with a friend, or a Google Hangout to talk with a friend during class. That's not good citizenship. Right? That's not using it appropriately. Some people are creating Google Meets outside of school hours and having inappropriate conversations in which you're using school property, and so we have to hold them accountable for that. That means there are consequences to it. So I want to share with you that the expectation is we're using technology and the internet in a good way, not inappropriately, because ultimately we have a lot of software and systems that alerts us when kids are not using it appropriately, and it happens on a 12 to 24-hour basis. It's really Gaggle, you've probably heard of, or Securely, where it checks all the websites, what you're on and not, and it alerts us. So then we have to reach out to you, parent, and have to deal with consequences. You may have to lose privileges. You may not have a Chromebook. You may be locked out. A lot of different things. So we want to make sure we're using our technology, for good things. All right, Christina. All right. Really our expectations, around our house awards is what, those pillars that we name students for. But really what that means is we're being positive, we're accountable, we're willing, and we're safe. Our pause, we're showing our pause. We raise them, right? We raise our pause in all of these areas throughout the day. And if we do those things, then we're doing a good job, and we're responsible citizens and students at West Rocks. So what does it mean? What does it look like to demonstrate pause or being a good student, a responsible student in these areas of our school, right? Classrooms. Now that a lot of kids are coming back to our traditional classrooms versus remote, we want to make sure that we're having positive interactions with both our peers, our friends, or our kids in our class, and our teachers. If our teacher asks us to do something, even though we may not want to do it, the expectation is we listen to our teacher. If our teacher asks us to change our seats, or take out a book, or give a direction, or raise your hand before we talk, or you have to wait your turn to go to the bathroom, or you can't go to the nurse right now because, or whatever it may be, the expectation is we're positive, we wait, we listen, we're respectful, and then we wait for our direction. We're accountable in a classroom, right? For our schoolwork, whether it be homework, participation, raising our hand, turning our cameras on, dropping something in the chat if we need to, if we're remote, we're accountable for what we're doing. We're willing to try new things. We're willing to give it a best effort, whether it be a test or quiz, even if we're not really sure or we don't want to do it. Or we're willing to try a new, type of assessment, walk around, do a gallery walk, use a Post-it. I'll give you an example. Our teachers have been willing to learn all year, because this is new to everyone too, right? In the beginning of the year, we had a handful of teachers using Jamboard. I'll give you an example. And they did, those couple of teachers were doing a really good job. Kids were really engaged, and you know what Jamboard is. And so those teachers taught all teachers how to use Jamboard. And now when I go into classrooms, now that it's April, our teachers, even if they didn't really know how to do it, they're incorporating something like Jamboard, and others, but like Jamboard, into their classrooms to check for understanding. That you're putting Post-its on there, you're putting messages on there, and that shows that our teachers were really willing to try something new in the classroom. So we expect you to do that too. And safe. We expect you to be safe in the classroom, and that goes to mask wearing in the classroom. That goes to sanitizing hands in the classroom. That goes to when you're eating, you're maintaining your distance as appropriate, as your teacher says. If you are going to eat, you go to the table near you, come back, you eat, and then throw it out appropriately. That is how we exemplify and demonstrate pause within our classroom. And really, we want to make sure you're doing the best you can and making good decisions and listening to your teacher. Now, what does that mean in the halls? Well, first, we walk in the halls. I'm going to say that again because I think in sixth grade, I've seen the most issue with this out of any grade level. We don't run from one point to another. That's not safe. We walk. Reason for that is if you're running down the hallway and somebody steps out of a classroom, you collide and you get hurt, you or the other person. You break things. You may run and slip. We don't run in the hallways. It's just not safe. We stay on the right side. I'm going to show you some pictures in a second. We stay on the right side of the hallways and we walk. That way, if you're on one side, you know you're going in one direction. You're not going to run into anybody. And if you're going in the other direction, it also alleviates the congestion. It doesn't get clogged up, and you can maintain your social distance. So we walk in the hall, we stay on the right. And if our teacher's asking us to follow, some teachers stay in the back, some teachers stay in the front, and then walking from one area to the next. We are listening to our teachers. We're staying in our line if that's what our teacher wants, and we're quiet. That's the expectation. All right. And the teacher, I've heard teachers remind, I've heard teachers give direction on staying. Okay, go to the end of the hallway, stay where you are, go to the edge. Good. Some classes are doing a great job with that and they're listening. Others have forgotten themselves a little bit. Other students have just returned from a remote, and this is their first real experience at West Rocks. And so maybe they didn't know, and this is your opportunity, and this is my reminding you that we're listening to our teachers, especially in the hallways, especially as sixth graders. Right? We need our routines, and we do need to do a much better job than we have in, I say, the last 4 or 5 weeks, because I've really seen kind of a downward turn in our sixth grade versus some of our other grades. So please do a better job moving forward. And your teachers are going to hold you accountable. And we'll talk about consequences in just a little bit. Another piece as far as hallways and right into the cafeteria is when you come in the morning, whether it be bus, drop off, or walking, you come in. If you need to grab breakfast from the cafeteria, go ahead. If you're at the tables by the Delta, Alpha, or Beta entrance, grab food from the tables, and then you go to homeroom. Okay, that's where you can settle in. You go directly to homeroom. You have your stuff. You have your breakfast. You can settle in and wait and talk to your friends and your teacher until Panther News starts. But we're going there quietly, grab our breakfast, and then eat in there. That's the expectation of hallways and into cafeteria. If we're eating in the cafeteria because you happen to have a class that has a large number and we need just a handful of kids down there down to the cafeteria, you're going quietly. You're sitting, you're grabbing your food, you're sitting at the taped chairs in the cafeteria, you're eating, and then you're dismissed from the staff members that are in there to go back to your class. And we're doing a good job in the cafeteria. As far as restrooms, you go in when you're allowed to. If teacher has given you permission to go to the restroom, you go. We're clean when we're done. We wash our hands, and then we come back to class. We don't hang out in the bathroom. We don't, like I mentioned before, like graffiti or not respecting school property. Those types of things. I know it's a little bit different because some of the restrooms are taped off a little bit just because of the pandemic. But go in, make sure we're clean. We wash our hands, and then we leave, and we go back to class when we're allowed. Then, as far as recess goes, I think, over the course, we've had some ups and downs on recess. I think you guys really enjoy recess, which is great because you should be outside as much as possible. Got great games of Foursquare. Some of you guys love soccer. Some of you guys playing basketball, having fun with Frisbees. I know it's been tough since the lower field has been off. You've been doing a pretty good job. But I do want to make sure a couple things. One, our masks need to be on at recess. Okay? If you need a mask break, if you need a mask break and you're outside, you need to be 6 to 10 feet away from each other, and then you can have your masks down. But if you're closer, this needs to be up. I know Mr. Serval and some of the other adults out there have reminded you, me included, but they need to be on, especially if you're close and you're playing a game. There shouldn't be anybody hanging on each other. There shouldn't be any back and forth, right? And so some of that has happened, some of it hasn't. If we're throwing a ball, make sure we're clear and our space is clear, even if we're in the parking lot a little bit, instead of just thrown into a group of people. And we're doing a good job making, playing together, right, and having fun. So recess, make sure we're doing a good job. And at the end of recess, after Mr. Serval or somebody else asks you to go, we'll walk into the portables for our hand washing, or we're waiting inside for hand washing. We're waiting for the teacher, your teacher, to come outside and get you by the portables. Right? We're not just going in, finding our room. Okay, this is where we're going. Yeah. If Mr. Festa is coming out to pick you up, or Mr. Richards is coming out and picking you up, like you wait for your teacher. And so when your teacher is there, either they ask you to line up, okay, they're counting, you're quiet, and then you walk into your classroom. All right, there's some kids are doing a pretty good job. Other kids are hanging out. It's loud. It's really difficult to kind of get to manage that and go up to your classroom. And so that's been a little bit disappointing over the last couple of weeks, especially at our sixth grade. So please do a better job from here to quarter four. Otherwise, we're going to need to take some time out of your future recesses to remind you that that's how we line up. So if we can't handle lining up on a Wednesday, for example, right? Because then it takes us 5-10 minutes to get lined up. Well, maybe on Thursday, we go out 5-10 minutes late to recess to make sure we remember at the end. We need to do a better job of re-entering the school after our recess is over and then get into sanitizer. And again, teachers will be out there making sure you're lined up before you re-enter school. Bus, it's on the right side of our screen, but the bus, we talked about this yesterday. You have your bus passes. You go in, you scan it. We're going to give the information on the technology in the app so your parents can kind of follow where it is and see where you go. But you're sitting separately. You're not too loud so the bus driver can concentrate. You're not throwing things out the window. You're just listening and you're making sure you get off the right stop. Most of you have done a pretty good job because of all the announcements in making sure you're getting on the right bus and going out the bus loop, but make sure our behavior is appropriate because we have some of our bus drivers have reported some behaviors that we're not really happy with. Finally, virtual environment. We want to be positive, communicate, like I said before. And we kind of talked about making good choices online, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But that's another area that we want to make sure we're doing a good job and making good choices on the websites that we're on and participating in class. And we're positive, not pulling up these Google Hangouts as I'm walking in class and trying to chat, because ultimately you're going to lose some of your privileges, and you'll be able to do the work. You'll just be able to do it as a hard copy in a paper instead of online. All right, Christina. All right, just some of the other things. Here's one. As far as dress code goes, you'll see CK. He's one of our sixth graders. He was able to help us out with one of these pictures. You'll notice he doesn't have a hood on and he doesn't have a hat on. That's for safety. If we're walking down the hallways, we need to be able to see your face if we need to check the cameras or see who you are if we need to identify far away. Right. Unfortunately, I have about 5 or 6 hats at this point in my office locked up, and those students will get those back in June. We know the expectation right now, and if you've already been given 1 or 2 warnings and you're continuing to do it, I'm just going to grab them. I'll lock them up, and after June 18th, you'll be able to get them back. But hats and hoods are off. You'll notice CK also has shoes on. We need to make sure we have backs that secure on the back of our shoes, right? So sneakers are safe. We can't wear slides just because, if there's evacuation, we need to leave really quickly. And we're walking or running, having, unfortunately, if that needs to happen, I can't have you in slides because that's not safe. So you can wear Crocs if you need to, because you can put the back up. But you can't, we can't wear slides, and we need to have proper footwear. And finally, as the weather gets warmer, our attire and what we wear changes a little bit. So if we're wearing shorts, make sure they're long enough. And what I mean by that is if your hands are down by your sides, they go to at least about your fingertip. That's one way to kind of check that out. And everything on your clothing is appropriate, right? Your language, the pictures, all of that is appropriate and not inappropriate. If that's the case, we'll either have you change, we'll put some clothes over it, you can borrow some, you might have to call a parent to bring new clothes. But those are all things that we want to make sure that we're dressing for success each and every day, from each and every day you come to school. The 2 other pictures, the one in the middle, you'll notice students walking up the right side of the stairwell, and the other one is walking down the right side of the stairwell. That's really important, especially as we're turning and more kids are there in order to be safe. And that's the same with the hallway. You'll notice students walking, as I emphasized, on the right side of the hallway, both ways, and they're also wearing masks. You'll see those stickers and decals on the ground to help you with the 6 feet. But it's important that we're quiet in the hallways when classrooms are in session. We are wearing our masks and we're safe. And again, we're walking. And you're going to hear me say that again and again. Okay, Christina? All right, behavior. Again, as we are, approaching the last quarter of this school year, we're all accountable for making it safe and caring. We lead by example, and we take responsibility for our actions. Unfortunately, if we are not making good choices, we will have consequences. Some of you have already experienced those. For example, if we aren't doing a great job in class, your teacher may reach out to your parent and guardian and report that and ask for some support at home. Right? Something else you may miss some recess because of a teacher asking you to do things and maybe you didn't do it and the teacher has assigned that. You might have experienced an after-school detention. Maybe some of those other interventions haven't worked. So then you're staying with me, Miss Amaral, Mr. Jackson, in the main office till 3:15, 3:30 on a day, because that's something else that, in order to change behavior, that could happen. We also have Saturday detentions. Those started last week. So if we have these consequences and we're trying to change your behavior and rewarding you for good things that you're doing and it's not helping, then we have to make it a little bit more severe. So for example, you may have to come in on a Saturday from 8:15 to 10:45 for detention. So you'll be in a classroom with a teacher doing schoolwork for those couple hours to hopefully that'll remind you to make better choices. And unfortunately, some kids, that doesn't work either, and you need to take a break from school. You may be home for a while and not able to come to school. So none of those things we want to have happen, but understand that they are. We also have some really cool events. You're going to have a 6th grade field trip at the end of June. We're going to have field day. We have some other things that are planned, some events. And unfortunately, if we aren't making good choices, you're not going to be able to participate in the fun things that we want to do. So again, do a good job. Think of how we raise our paws. Think of our pillars, and make good choices throughout your day, each and every day. All right, Christina. All right, academics. As we finish the year, a couple things. We have 1 quarter left. Finish strong. You're going to have some performance tasks, things that you're going to have to do, complete in all of your classes. And that could be considered like a final performance task or exam almost the last week of school. That's going to be challenging, or even to finish up this unit, whether it be a test or a quiz. Are you studying? Are you doing your IXL? Are you reading? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing, your Khan Academy, if that's assigned? Are you reporting, like I said, to Mr. Miller or Ms. Z if you need help? Like, how are you helping yourself for the remainder of this year academically? You participate, you raise your hand, and you finish your work because you didn't do it, but your teacher allowed you to. Maybe you come in for extra help in the morning or log in after school to a remote session. What are you doing for your grades? We have Ames Web, which is a reading and a math assessment. We did a couple times. You have one more. That's starting tomorrow. You're going to do reading and then math next week in your classes. That's going to help us determine, who's eligible for Summer Academy, who maybe needs to be looked at for GT, how much you grew this year. So try your best. We just want maximum effort for that. Fitness testing, we're actually going to have that in a field day too later on. We just want you to try your best outside. It'll be a fun day for your 6th graders. And SBAC, you guys have taken it in the past. We do have it in the end of May. It'll be reading and math, couple days. Try your best. This will show us how much you know and what you're really good at, and other areas that you need help with. And that's okay, especially since the last year you've really been out of school. So we need to make sure that you do the best job you can in all of the assessments and grades throughout the remainder of this year. And set a goal for yourself. Did you make honor roll yet? If you didn't, try. Whether it's this quarter or the 4th quarter, finish up strong with your grades. Did you make high honors? Great, do it again. If you want to make a regular honor roll, that's great, or honor roll, that's great too. Have you not gotten an A this year? Do you want to just get an A? That's okay too. Do you need a B? Like, what are your goals this year? Do you just, maybe one class you're really struggling in and you want to do better than you have throughout the year? Do that too. Maybe you want to do all your homework for the whole quarter. That's a goal. So think about it. Set a goal for yourself for the end of this year around academics. All right, Christina. Attendance. Be here, be in class, every class, on time, every day. As you know, your teachers are taking attendance in Power School every period, every day. You need to get here on time, school on time. You need to get to class on time. You need to log in on time and stay throughout and try your best. It's the only way you're going to learn. Unfortunately, some of us have made some choices, especially with remote, to not do that. And some of you have seen either me, Miss Amaral, Mr. Jackson actually go to your house if we aren't logging in and coming to school. So we don't want that. We want you to be here every day. We want you to be in person as much as possible. So if you aren't in person and you're listening to this and you want to come back, please reach out to your counselor because that's how we're going to learn best to be ready for 7th grade. Okay, Christina? I'm going to leave you with just a couple things, and we're going to wrap up. What are you going to contribute to West Rocks? You're wrapping up your 6th grade year. right? Are you going to do your very best academically and knock it out of the park and really be successful over the next, this year and the next 3 years in all of your classes? Do a great job on SBAC, AIMSweb, grades, honor roll. Is that something that you're going to be it's going to be a focus? Are you going to participate as much as you can in community service? You're going to show up to your cleanup days. You're going to help sell Westrock shirts. You're going to stay and help teachers and paint murals around the school with Miss Fusarelli. What are you going to contribute to our school? Are you going to stand up for your friends and your peers? I hope so. Are you going to be, are you going to apply and work really hard and hopefully get into National Junior Honor Society and really contribute as a leader and taking our incoming fifth graders around on tours? Because that's what happens. What are you going to do? And I'm going to leave you with kind of that thought. But what are you going to contribute? And how are you going to leave West Rocks a better place than when you came here just in the beginning of this year? Because you got 1 quarter left in sixth. And then you only got 2 more years. You've already got 1 down in middle school, and it goes very, very quickly. All right, Christina, thank you. You can drop the slideshow. All right, I'm going to leave you with just a reminder that we have 1 quarter left of your 6th grade experience at West Rocks. I want you to make sure that you think about those areas and the routines that we expect you to demonstrate throughout the remainder of this year and over the course of your career at West Rocks, whether it be in the hallways, how we're acting and behaving, how we are doing in our classrooms and doing our homework and working hard, how we're asking questions and how we're respectful to one another, whether it be adults, peers, how we're listening, and how we're being safe. And I want to make sure we finish up the 6th grade year in a positive way, really, really strong. And we're able to enjoy all of those things that we have planned. Even if it's not what we're used to, we'll finish the year strong. And as the vaccine rolls out and more people are safe and the pandemic, hopefully will subside and go away eventually, we'll re-enter what we're used to. And you'll be able to finish up a more traditional West Rocks experience in your 7th and 8th grade year. But keep up the good work. Let's modify some of our behaviors that need to be changed and have a great end of your 6th grade year. If you have any questions or want to talk about it further and you have some things that maybe you think about now or maybe it's later in the day and you want to bring it up with your teachers, feel free. Talk about it in your classes and your teachers can reach out to Miss Amaral, myself, and we can talk about it with you guys or later on and in classes over the next couple weeks or so. Okay, with that, have a great day. Hopefully I will see many of you this Saturday at our cleanup and with our clothing drive from 9 to 12 here at West Rocks. Have a great Wednesday, guys.